watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread TIPA's positive approach message around the world.
Hey, everybody. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday. I got it right. I've been struggling thinking it's Tuesday all week. Anyway, welcome back. Hey, teammates. We got Shelly and Alejandro back, the dynamic trio, the Three Musketeers. So last week, I believe it was, we addressed hallucinations. And somebody else asked us about delusions, especially scary ones. So today what I'd like to do is explore delusions. So team, what do we know about delusions? What makes them different than hallucinations?
Well, kind of what we talked about on Friday was that delusions are more things that we think rather than experience physically.
Yeah, so it's hallucinations are more about misinterpreting sensory data. Did I say that? Hallucinations. Delusions are more about misinterpreting our thinking, how we perceive things, stories. So anything else to add, Alejandro?
I was just going to throw in, I think for most people, it's one in this. I think for a lot of people, until you start to dig in deeper into it, it's probably one and the same. And we're probably, and I'm going to throw myself out there, I use them interchangeably at times, and I absolutely do not mean to, because Catherine's separating them for us a bit. But even with the knowledge of that they are different, I will still find myself using one or the other interchangeably when truly it should be just one or the other one based on what's happening for the person.
Yeah, they are really, really different. So what happens with delusions is we have some memory of something, but then there's a missing piece. So we take some other piece of data that we have, like I saw you, and we try to make things make sense. So our brain makes things up to make things make sense.
Yeah.
So here's this challenge as a care partner. We can't both be right, because it doesn't make sense to us. We're like, where in the heck did you come up with that? And here's the thing too. Delusions, there's lots of places we could go into that, who gets delusions, why, and there are different reasons, but delusions are also a very big part often of Lewy body dementia. So we have a webinar that Tipa and Amanda did, which also included our core team member, Lauren, who is living with Lewy body. It was understanding Lewy body dementia. So I'm going to show a couple of clips from that because they're good. And this is a delusion. Tipa will be the one having.
So why did you move my car keys?
Well, I didn't move your car keys. You did.
No, I had them right there and I saw you pick them up and move them.
I didn't touch your car keys.
You did. You took them off the hook and you put them somewhere because you didn't want me to drive.
I watched you.
No, I did. No, I did. Why would I put them in the refrigerator? You put them in the refrigerator. This is what you're doing. This is how you do this. You say you don't and you do. And I wish you'd just tell the truth about it.
You're the one that's lying about
it. I didn't lie. That's what I saw. I saw you did it and you won't admit it. Okay. So.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I smudged my glasses. I smudged my glasses because I started covering my face so much watching that.
So how'd that go? What did you see happening there?
Oh, big fight. Wow.
And big fight. Do you think it would end here?
Oh, no. And I'm sure it wasn't the first time.
Right. And I think it goes back to that idea of, it seemed like Amanda's working with the reaction that she had to Tipa's comment.
Right.
The accusation.
Which is that accusation that I got, that it's like, no, I did not. And it's like, Amanda can probably say whatever. I mean, she can bring in evidence that would hold up in a court of law and absolutely whatever. It's probably not going to make a hill of beans to Tipa in this moment. And that's the really hard part about, I think, for me watching that clip. It's like, she's really, Amanda's really trying.
Amanda's trying to be right.
Yeah.
She does not want to be accused of doing something that could be wrong. This is where you stole my purse, you're stealing my money, you're trying to poison me.
Mhm.
These are all the kind of things. But here's the kernel of truth that I didn't share with you before. There's always that kernel of truth. Amanda had a conversation with Teepa a few days before about her concern about her driving, whether it was a good idea for Teepa to continue driving. They had not decided.
Mhm.
So if I don't recall all those details, right, I'm Teepa's filling
I
in.
recall that Amanda said something about me not driving.
Mhm.
And maybe in the moment, I was like, well, I'm going to put these where she doesn't see him. And then she just sees Amanda at some point, maybe
standing
moving around or even holding the keys, even though she at one point saw Amanda holding the keys, but then she went and got him and it got all mixed up.
Right.
So she's trying to make sense of it.
Right.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you a different way with pack skills.
So just watching that, I totally even forgot what Teepa accused her of, because I just got so sucked into like, oh my God, this is going so far downhill immediately.
You stole my keys, my car keys.
Okay.
Yeah.
You stole-
All right. So here we go. Try again.
My car keys away.
You're thinking I took your car.
Yes, I know they were there. I saw you move them,
So you saw the car keys
and and you took them and you put them somewhere.
where you normally put the car keys.
Yeah.
They're not there.
No, you took them and you put them somewhere.
So you're thinking I took the
Yes,
car
I
keys
saw
and
you
put
do
them
it.
And you think that I took the car keys and put
I
them
saw you. I
Okay.
saw you.
I put them somewhere and I don't even know where I put them.
Well, why do you go? You had them in your hand and you went across somewhere. I just don't know where you took them. Why are you moving them anyway?
You know how terrible my memory is. I'm
Okay.
All right. So what did you notice was different about that Amanda's attempt to
Well,
lower?
I was gonna say one of the first things Amanda did was she backed up and she got into supportive stance.
Yes, she did. So we're looking for those skills.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of those? We repeat this stuff over and over because
Yep.
it works. Some of this stuff really works.
Yeah. So she got into supportive stance. That was one of the big things.
Supportive stance. What else, Alejandro?
Which is actually, I think, the contrary of what she did in the first clip you showed us. It seemed like she was getting closer, and like I was like, oh no, don't do that. So yeah, that shift. And there's also this validation piece for Amanda working with Teepa. Teepa's pointing in one direction and Amanda's pointing in that same direction, doing something physically, and giving some of her words back to her.
Yeah, so that's what we always say, validate what you see, what you hear. So you're thinking I took the car keys. What's different about that than what she did before?
Well, she didn't tell Teepa that Teepa was wrong.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. Right. That's what I mean. When you say no, I didn't, you've immediately told the other person you're wrong.
And who took responsibility for those car keys being missing?
Ultimately, Amanda made the choice to, my memory.
My brain, my memory. You know how my memory is. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think when someone accuses us of something, let's just say fairly, I don't want to say it's benign because it could go horrible. You stole my purse, my car keys, whatever. You could go down the list. I'm sure everybody's got some. Just trying those skills. But what if it's really scary or very traumatic? So as I mentioned, we have our core team member, Lauren, was on this call. And there actually was an incident when, I don't know if any of you recall the Pulse nightclub massacre shooting. Mm-hmm. And Lynn, our friend and teammate Lynn, who's very close to Lauren, lived about a mile away. And she was mentioned, she's a reverend, so she was doing a service for those who were lost. Mm-hmm. So let's get Lauren's perspective. She thought somebody took Lynn's body and the person who was talking to her was an imposter, because so that's another thing, the imposter piece. So I just think it'll be neat to hear from her, from Lauren. Any other thoughts to fill the time?
I was thinking about Amanda's, wherever Amanda ends with this.
I'm thinking of offer even, and I'm sorry.
Where's Amanda's time to like decompress, or what does she need to do after a really intense interaction like that? Because that is a lot of skills to use.
So you're thinking of what can Amanda do to decompress herself and help bring her amygdala down?
Yeah.
Can she leave the scene? Can she step back and breathe? Can she just get the visual?
Someone, yeah. I mean, what's going to work for, afterwards? Because there's a lot to deal with afterwards. So.
Shelley, you're smiling. Is there something you want to share?
Matthew was saying nice supportive stance shift, and he loved the reflection. And then he said, if you don't want to agitate, then validate.
Ooh.
Don't agitate, validate. That's good. New slogan. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a time where Lauren believed that Lynn had died in the Orlando event where the nightclub explosion had happened, and Lynn lives in Orlando. So she thought Lynn had died, and she really, at that time, Lauren had seen an article in the paper about listing the names, and she actually could see Lynn's name on the list. And what Lauren became really distressed with us in the PAC community about was we were not grieving Lynn, and she was grieving Lynn, and she was very distressed with us. So do you want to say anything about that one? Is that one totally gone, or do you still recall that one a little bit?
I still remember that. And that was, even now, that was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That was, just, it doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah, because you lost somebody, and it felt like those who should be supportive didn't have that same level of grieving that you were feeling, and you couldn't get us to grieve that way. So that was a tough one for us, because that was a place where we didn't feel like we could really agree with you. And eventually what we were able to do to get through it, and it was tough, is that Lynn happened to be in California with something else. I pushed Lauren to go talk with this fake Lynn that was running around saying she was the real Lynn. She agreed to take that chance. And even then, right before the meeting, I'm getting phone calls. I think it's a bad idea, but she did it. And then Lynn worked really hard. She and Lauren worked really hard together to get to a place. And then Lynn was back. And it was the real Lynn.
Yeah.
That took a month.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the things we all have to be willing to do is help and wait and not get too upset if it does take a month.
So something Alejandro brought up, which I was around, not literally a part of it, so to speak, but do you think Lynn was the only person talking to Lauren about this? Or were there other people talking to Lauren?
I'm sure there were others.
Mm-hmm. It took a team.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about what you know of Lynn and you know about PAC skills, there's a few things I know that happened on that visit. So how do you think Lynn approached Lauren? She was the imposter Lynn when she arrived. Just some guesses. I know right or wrong. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure it would be in a mode of using PPA, but really in that mode of assessing what I'm getting, what I'm seeing with Lauren and body language, and is she accepting of touch or not? Mm-hmm. Because absolutely, if I am cautious already and calling people to say I don't think this is going to go well, I definitely want to come in with some. If I were Lynn, come in with some PPA, which Lynn works PPA beautifully. So that would be my.
She's also not going to be super friendly and loud and oh, it's so good to see you. Let's get a hug.
Lauren!
Yeah, no, not going to happen.
I know And guess where it happened? It's weird. Do you think it happened in Lauren's house or somewhere else? I mean, yeah, in Lauren's house or somewhere else.
I'm gonna go with somewhere else.
Somewhere else,
But close.
close by.
Because home is that safe place I can go back to. If I'm in your home, where do I go from there?
Home was right behind them.
Yeah. And,
They
and so
sat
that-
down next to each other, but
Yeah.
not close.
hmm
And they just did that validation back and forth, and it took a while. And as Teep said, in that visit, the real Lynn returned in Lauren's brain.
And so, Catherine, you brought up this other thing of it's not only skills. It could also be that a different stakeholder may be able to be of use and of help in this situation or the scenario, because that's one of the things that sometimes Teepa and our team talks about is the idea of a different stakeholder in this thing. And they could be absolutely the exact same skills, but the stakeholder could be the different person that makes a difference.
Right. And is it also, we may use some of the same skills, but what's actually the difference with different stakeholders?
Different relationships.
Different relationships. We can all have the same skills, but are we all have different private relationships when we're one-on-one?
Mhm.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. I hope this was helpful and addressed some questions, helped you tease apart the difference between hallucinations and delusions, and maybe get some thoughts on what skills you can try if you're faced with trying to support somebody with a delusion.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread Teepa's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.